Hey Hammers fans! Before we get started, make sure to drop a like, leave your comment, and subscribe to the channel. That way, you won't miss any West Ham news. A major shift seems to be shaking the foundations at West Ham United, and it's becoming increasingly clear that every path now leads to the same destination, the growing influence of one man. For years, the club has been struggling with deep-rooted issues. A training ground that lags behind most of the Premier League, and a stadium that still doesn't feel like home. Yet, none of those problems has drawn as much heat as the ownership itself, which finds its decisions under a harsh spotlight. West Ham's decline hasn't come from a single bad season or a streak of poor results. It's the result of years of mismanagement and inconsistency, especially in recruitment. The last 22 months of limp, uninspired football have reflected the failures of the club's transfer policy. A patchwork of random decisions, each pointing in a different direction. When Tim Steidten was appointed as technical director, fans thought the scattergun approach would end. Instead, confusion continued. Steidten had a few of his own picks, Julian Lopetegui was allowed some say, and majority owner David Sullivan insisted on his choices too. The result was a disjointed list. Steidten wanted Jean-Claire Todibo, Luis Guilherme, and Niklas Füllkrug, while Lopetegui pushed for Max Kilman and Guido Rodriguez. Then, Sullivan reportedly drove the move for Crysencio Somerville from Leeds, spending £26 million on the winger. This chaotic system has frustrated fans who are calling for real change. Supporters are tired of seeing their club drift without identity, and the protests have only intensified. The slogan, "No More BS," a play on the initials of Vice Chair Karen Brady and majority owner David Sullivan, has become a rallying cry. The group leading the charge, Hammers United, argues that the club's leadership must either sell up or step back. For many supporters, the greatest frustration isn't just about results, but about the way the club is run, particularly the way transfers are handled. After Steidten's dismissal, Sullivan once again took charge of recruitment, effectively acting as West Ham's de facto director of football. He's long been known to work with a tight circle of agents, relying on personal networks rather than a strategic vision for the team's future. Among his trusted allies are Barry Silkman and Will Salthouse, two agents who've played key roles in recent deals. Salthouse, a close friend of Sullivan's sons, Dave and Jack, has been especially influential, brokering the move for Aaron Wan-Bissaka and previously helping secure Jared Bowen in January 2020, a transfer that proved one of the few genuine successes of the current regime. But even this relationship has started to draw criticism. Some fans worry that these agents' influence has come at the expense of the club's direction. The summer pursuit of Callum Wilson was a prime example. Instead of targeting a young, dynamic striker who could lead the line for the long term, West Ham signed Wilson, an aging forward with an injury record and connections to Salthouse's unique sports group. These transfer missteps have become one of 7 major grievances voiced by protesting supporters. They're demanding change from top to bottom, from the boardroom to the pitch. The anger has built over time, but now something seems to be shifting behind closed doors. A new power structure is forming, and insiders are calling it nothing short of seismic. The breaking point appears to have arrived. Word from within the corridors of the London Stadium suggests that a major change has been confirmed. The club is moving away from Salthouse's influence in transfer dealings. For the first time in years, West Ham might be preparing to change not just its squad, but the very way it operates at its core. Before we carry on, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. This is really important because it strengthens the Claret and Blue family, making our West Ham bigger and stronger every day. The latest developments from within West Ham have confirmed what many suspected: a dramatic power realignment is underway. Sources close to the club say that Will Salthouse, once a central figure in West Ham's transfer operations, is now being quietly pushed aside. His once solid relationship with the club's hierarchy appears to have reached its end. Sean Whetstone, a well-known insider and confidant of the West Ham ownership, revealed that the turning point came after 2 key moments: the signing of Callum Wilson and the arrival of Nuno Espirito Santo. According to Whetstone, those events marked a decisive change in how the club intends to operate going forward. Will Salthouse's influence at West Ham is reported to be very limited after the completion of the Callum Wilson deal over the summer, he said on X. Nuno likes to work with certain agents, and Salthouse, through his unique sports management company, could be frozen out this winter, insiders claim. This statement didn't just confirm rumors. It validated a growing sense among fans and staff that a new order was emerging inside the London stadium. Nuno Espirito Santo, known for his firm hand and preference for controlled recruitment, has never been comfortable working under owners or directors who interfere in football matters. At Wolverhampton Wanderers, his most successful spell came under an arrangement where his trusted representative, Jorge Mendes, oversaw much of the transfer activity. When talks began about Nuno replacing Graham Potter, two conditions were reportedly placed before David Sullivan. One was related to the structure of the coaching staff. The other was non-negotiable. Mendes would have to be involved in all transfer decisions. For Nuno, this wasn't just about personal loyalty. It was about maintaining a model that had worked before, one that brought order and vision to chaotic recruitment systems. Those who followed Nuno's previous stints will remember his clashes with ownership figures who tried to curtail Mendes' involvement. At Nottingham Forest, for example, Nuno's relationship with Evangelos Marinakis soured when Edu was brought in to oversee recruitment, effectively sidelining Mendes. The fallout was quick and public. For West Ham, Sullivan's willingness to allow Mendes a voice marked a significant break from his usual tight grip on transfer dealings. That decision has already altered the internal power balance. Sullivan, once the unquestioned gatekeeper of all player acquisitions, now finds himself sharing space with one of the most powerful agents in world football. Mendes, who runs the Gestafoot agency representing global stars from Cristiano Ronaldo to João Felix, is not a man who accepts minor influence. If he's in to lead. From the moment Nuno took his first press conference in East London, his demeanor said everything: composed, satisfied, even optimistic. Those who know him could tell. This wasn't just another job. It was a project built around his methods, his control, and his network. It was the same formula that brought Wolves into Europe and turned them into one of the league's most tactically disciplined sides. Now, as the dust settles around the shakeup, it's clear that Mendes' growing role isn't a coincidence or a temporary arrangement. It's the foundation of West Ham's new approach to football operations. For a club long accused of short-termism and disorganization, this might be the beginning of something more structured, or at least more coherent. Before we carry on, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. This is really important because it strengthens the Claret and Blue family, making our West Ham bigger and stronger every day. So that's all for today, folks. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, leave a comment, share, and of course subscribe to the channel for more. Take care, and I'll see you next time. With Will Salthouse now effectively frozen out of West Ham's transfer network, all roads within the club's recruitment structure appear to lead to Jorge Mendes. The Portuguese super agent has become a pivotal figure in the new setup, operating not only as Nuno Espirito Santo's trusted advisor, but also as a bridge between the manager's ambitions and the board's financial limitations. What once was a chaotic system driven by personal connections may now be shifting towards something more calculated and professionally managed. Mendes' arrival at the center of West Ham's decision-making marks a turning point in how the club might do business from here on. His agency, Gestafoot, is known for representing elite-level talent across Europe, but also for building entire club identities around its network, as seen during his years of influence at Wolves and with Portuguese clubs like Porto and Benfica. For the Hammers, that could mean a clearer philosophy in player recruitment, focusing on technical quality, tactical adaptability, and international scouting rather than opportunistic signings. The early signs of that influence are already emerging. Reports suggest that Mendes has identified 3 of his own clients as potential January signings for West Ham, players who not only fit Nuno's tactical system, but also represent long-term value. The exact names haven't been confirmed, but insiders say the focus will be on mobility, ball retention, and youth. That's a stark contrast to previous windows, where the club seemed to gamble on aging or ill-fitting players without a clear strategy. For the first time in years, the recruitment blueprint might actually align with the manager's footballing identity. Nuno's sides are built on structure, discipline, and controlled intensity, a style that demands players who buy into his system and understand positional play. Having Mendes involved could ensure that West Ham stops signing players who don't fit their coach's philosophy. If this works, the club could finally escape the cycle of rebuilding every 2 seasons. However, this transformation is not without risk. Jorge Mendes' influence has often been a double-edged sword. His presence can stabilize clubs and deliver world-class players, but it can also lead to dependency, where the team's strategy becomes intertwined with the business interests of his agency. Wolves thrived under his network, but critics argued they lost autonomy in the process. The challenge for West Ham will be to find the right balance, benefiting from Mendes' reach without surrendering full control. Behind the scenes, David Sullivan's role will inevitably come under further scrutiny. Allowing Mendes and Nuno to take charge of recruitment is both a sign of trust and an admission of past mistakes. Sullivan has long been accused of meddling, preferring quick deals and friendly agents over methodical scouting. For him, stepping back could prove difficult, but it may be the only way for the club to evolve beyond the amateurish structure that has held it back. In this sense, the shift taking place at the London Stadium feels like more than just a reshuffle. It's an attempt at reinvention. West Ham's hierarchy seems to recognize that its previous approach has run its course. If the collaboration between Nuno and Mendes brings clarity, professionalism, and results, this could mark the beginning of a new era. The success or failure of that experiment will define the club's next chapter. For supporters, though, optimism remains cautious. They've seen promises before, from the move to Stratford to the expensive recruitment sprees that never quite worked. The difference this time may lie in the alignment between the coach, his representative, and the football vision guiding decisions. If Nuno and Mendes truly hold the reins, West Ham might finally start acting like a modern football institution rather than a club trapped by its own politics. The story, of course, is still unfolding. But one thing is certain. West Ham United is entering a period of transition where old loyalties are being dismantled and new alliances are taking root. The seismic shift that began quietly behind closed doors is now reshaping the entire direction of the club. Whether it leads to success or merely another chapter of turmoil, everything now hinges on the partnership between Nuno Espirito Santo and Jorge Mendes, the men who could either rebuild West Ham or define its next great gamble. So that's all for today, folks. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, leave a comment, share, and of course subscribe to the channel for more. Take care, and I'll see you next time.